Hello everybody, my name is Adam. Welcome to my channel. I do a bunch of reviews. I talk about a bunch of stuff. Today I'm going to be reviewing a animated movie from 2024, a Latvian production called Flow. So, what is it about? So, Flow is basically the story of a cat who survives in a post apocalyptic world. And that's actually really what happens. Um, there are no, there's no dialogue. You don't get any, apart from, what the animals would actually say, there's no kind of communication of their intent. Um, so let's talk about it. Is it actually a good movie or is it not a good movie? And I would say, unfortunately, it's very cute, but it's not a good movie. Why do I say that? Well, as I said, you you can't really understand the motivations of the animals in this. You can kind of understand just what you see. And I thought in the beginning of the movie that that was actually pretty clever because we have so many movies about animals where there's some kind of narration or there's some kind of like voiceover about that tells you what's going on. And I thought that if you have the cat just behaving as a cat, you are in the situation that we're in real life, where if you have a pet cat, you're kind of like wondering. You can kind of sort of understand what's going on in their brains, but you don't quite know because you're not a cat. So you can't actually 100% know what's going on with them. So I thought it would be like that. But unfortunately, as the story goes on, it gets more and more ridiculous. Like, for example, the cat is so basically there are all of these large statues of cats for some reason where this cat is staying, and this cat has found an abandoned house and can go inside the house, and the house, there's like a, the window is cracked, but apart from that it seems like the people just left, and there's no, apart from boats which are floating everywhere and some cities, there's no evidence that people actually existed. So that's kind of strange, but you can kind of say, okay, well, it's just like this area or whatever. But it gets weirder and weirder because the cat climbs up to this gigantic statue of a cat, and there's a flood, so the water goes higher and higher and higher, and eventually the cat needs to go in the water, and then there's like a boat floating by, so the cat kind of jumps in the boat, and in the boat there is a capybara. So a capybara is a famous South American animal, which is like apparently really, really chill, but not really. It's just that's the reputation it has, according to memes. So capybara and a cat. So you would think that this is somewhere in the Americas, right? No, but then later they meet dogs. Well, the cat has interaction with dogs all the time, so dogs and cats live all over the world, so that's fine. Capybaras live in one specific geographic place, that's fine. But then they meet like some lemurs later, and the lemurs only live in Madagascar. Oh, and there are secretary birds which live on the other side of Africa. So there's no way that all of those animals could meet on one place. There's no way, unless there was um, a zoo somewhere. So the zoo would have to be on the west coast of Africa, where the secretary birds are, because they're very, very common in this film. And so that's one thing, and then you kind of quickly realize, oh, this is a fable. It's not meant to be some kind of realistic examination of what a cat kind of goes through to survive. It's a fable because they are on this boat and the cat starts to steer the boat and the capybara steers the boat and the secretary bird steers the boat. So I'm sorry, I love animals, but a cat would not have any conception of what a boat is. Um, I mean, maybe a safe place to stay when there's a flood, but not actually steering the boat. That would be uh, a leap in imagination that the cat wouldn't have. But the cat would be so the odds of the cat figuring that out are not high, but they're not zero. They'd be maybe like 10%. The odds of a capybara figuring that out are not zero, but maybe like 5%. The odds of a secretary bird figuring that out are probably about zero. Because, secretary birds are predators, and generally, at least in terms of birds, predators are not that smart, actually. Um, you want to be an omnivore to be smart because an omnivore and social because you need to understand your relationships within groups, like crows, for example. A crow could figure it out, but a secretary bird, no way. Um, so that's one thing. And then as the plot goes along, there's this scene where the secretary bird flies up into heaven and there's like galaxies and stuff. And then the cat doesn't, and the cat is reunited with its friends at the end. And I think that different kinds of animals can become friends, which is really cute and really fascinating. That you can have cats and dogs be friends, and you can have, like, probably lemurs would befriend dogs and cats. That's completely fine. But it just seems a little bit too, okay, we're going to give this allegory about, I don't know, climate change or whatever, and we're going to use animals because people will be able to, you know, accept animals as these allegories. But the thing with that is, if you want to make an allegorical tale, it needs to be clear what you're talking about because the message is just completely muddy. Like, if it really is climate change, then why was the flooding disappear so rapidly? Why did it start so rapidly? Climate change wouldn't necessarily happen like that. I mean, there would be flooding and stuff, um, but it seems like this is like a global thing. And the movie was made entirely in Blender, which uh, is kind of impressive. I didn't necessarily like. I think a lot of um, the way the mouth of the dog looks, it looks like really fake, like a I don't know, some cutscene from a PlayStation 2 game or whatever. So the animation is not perfect, but it's pretty impressive that they made it with Blender. But one kind of like thing that they said is as a sort of like marketing thing is like we didn't use any storyboards, and I'm like, yeah, I can tell you didn't use any storyboards because what if you don't know, a storyboard is basically like in animation you can actually draw it or you can use it on your computer, you can have it on your computer. It's basically where you do frame by frame or maybe like scene by scene and you map out what's going to happen. And that's important in storytelling because you can set the pace and you can uh, change around things. Like I think it's clear after the cat gets on the boat they didn't really know what they were going to do with that. So they just kept on going and making more scenes and stuff and saying, okay, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, and this is going to happen. And because they didn't use any storyboards, they weren't able to say, is it a really good idea if we have a capybara? Is it a really good idea if the secretary bird is still steering the boat? You know, so I think ultimately it's cute, but it's a failure of a film. Um, yeah, it's just too confusing to work as an allegory. So it's trying to be really, really smart, but it doesn't end up saying anything apart from cats are cute, capybaras are cute, and lemurs apparently like mirrors. Anyway, if you have thoughts about this movie, please put your review in the comment section right down there where it belongs. Thank you. Bye bye.